What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fye and Eric Sheets-Haber. We're going to be talking through this little four-gamer that starts in an hour. It's it's one of these things. It's sort of similar to the slates we had yesterday. We've had a lot of split slates in the MLB. It won't be that way tomorrow, but I had a good night last night. I was a little frustrated because I could have gotten a little more out of the Dodgers and potentially gotten there for the 250. Even had some chances there. It looked like in the lottery with a similar lineup last night because I just had like all the right pieces, but the wrong four Dodgers stack. So a little bit frustrating, but ready to get after it today. And it's going to be hard to get different here. Do you want to go game by game here?
I think it's pretty easy. But you just have to have some vision. You just have to. Oh yeah. You just have to realize that you're not making the best plays. That's all.
Yeah. I'm good with that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like in baseball, you can get different and make a case and just say it's baseball. Like basketball, you can't just say, "Boy, I feel like playing some guy who hasn't played more than 12 minutes and just think he's going to get 30." You know what I mean?
Right.
By the way, if I'm not mistaken, was it yesterday or the day before? We didn't talk about this. So, or was it yesterday that Cade Cunningham was ruled out? Like
after lock.
Right after lock, and then I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm just going to make this up. That Malachi Flynn may have set the record for highest points per dollar performance of a player. I think he had 73 fantasy points at 3.5.
Yeah, I'm surprised he only had 73 because he had 50 real life points. It was only
more. I don't know. Yeah, it was 73 with like a minute to go in the game or something like that.
I think he was the fourth guy ever to score 50 off the bench because he didn't even start anyway. That was the game before.
Are you serious?
He played. Yeah, he did off the bench. And for weeks now, every show I've listened to has been saying, Malachi Flynn is a wild dart play, and that's the reason why those darts sometimes hit.
So throw enough darts, you hit a bullseye every once in a while, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's try to go game by game with this and see what we can make some sense of here.
I guess just a couple of announcements, by the way. So I'm going away for the weekend. Friday to Sunday. I already put up the MMA DFS video. I'll probably put up a betting one before I leave. I'll, as usual, my availability is limited to say the least. But I will be back Sunday, and that's pretty much all I had. So we have the four games here, and is any weather concerns? Is Washington a weather concern or no?
It's like not. It wouldn't be a concern, I don't think, except for that it's Washington. And we've just had this happen for years with them, but it shouldn't be a problem. Maybe they're going to late start and then that shouldn't be that could be an in-game delay. It's possible. But I don't think that either of those look particularly likely, at least from what I'm reading at the moment.
So, I first like to say, and again, I'm not just saying this to be facetious, there's four games. And you can make the case for 8 stacks. You really, really could. But the reason why you make that case is for different reasons. Like one, you'd make one because of leverage. One, make them because they're like good plays or whatever it is. And there's plenty. I want to say that if you get 8 pitchers in your pool, that's not bad either. It's just one of those days. Now again, we'll be able to figure who the best plays are, but that's not the story. So Pittsburgh, Washington, right off the bat, I can tell you that to play Josiah Gray or to stack against Josiah Gray, I think both are very, very strong ideas. And it's been like that since he's been in the league. And depending on where we think ownership is going to be, I think that I think Pittsburgh is probably going to be pretty popular. And maybe that's the way to start, is to play Josiah Gray at 6,400 in a big buy-in or something like that. Martin Perez, is that the same guy? Is that the same Martin Perez?
Yep.
That looks like he's going to win the Cy Young the first 2 weeks every season. Then
the first 2 months every season, I feel like.
So I'm currently not getting too much Washington, if at all. But I am getting, as I said, both sides of the Pittsburgh Josiah Gray situation. I'm getting some Pittsburgh, and I'm getting the Josiah Gray.
Yeah, most of the tournaments I wanted to play were mostly sold out by the time I started entering lineups. So I'll be playing more large field stuff. I think that you definitely want to have. Josiah Gray, I definitely will have in the mix. Martin Perez, I think that when you get a pitcher who's like a competent enough pitcher overall throughout his career, at 3% ownership on a 4-game slate, I'm just going to have a hard time not at least considering it. There are better plays, sure. Are there, but I mean, it's Washington, and I could see him getting through innings quickly. All you worry about is really the strikeouts. I think there's an option for him as well. Like, maybe if you're playing 150, play 15% or 10% of them, or I'd go as high as 15 or something like that, because he's going to be like 3 or 4% owned. Then on this the hitting side, I don't necessarily agree about I think it's another slate where one way to get different is not stacking, and I think that's totally legitimate today. Just because it's going to be hard to get different with no matter what you do, and I do think just by nature doing that makes some sense. And it's a 4-game slate. It's not the same where one team has to go off. Now I understand that most of the lineups will still be 5 whatevers. I am totally cool with going 3-3, 4-2, 2-2, whatever. I really do think it's that kind of a slate. And I just thought I would point out for me, the best bats in the game, price and everything considered, would be Sawinski. I do think that O'Neal Cruz and Brian Reynolds are great plays, but they're both really expensive. And if I had to pick one bat from the Washington side of things, even in a lefty-lefty, I think I might choose Gallo. Gallo, Lane Thomas, Meneses are the 3 guys I'm considering.
He was swinging the bat really, really well yesterday, Mr. Gallo.
Yeah, that's right. He's actually, I think he's hit a few this year already.
It's going to be tough lefty with the lefty-lefty, but
yeah.
What's Jesse Winker? He's a lefty also.
Yep, it's a little bit of a weird. That's another reason why I even thought Perez. There's
a lefty, man. Maybe you're on
lefties everywhere in that lineup. I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Lane Thomas is ready, but yeah.
And all right, moving over to the Minnesota Cleveland game.
So this is the deal, right? So Pablo Lopez is the best pitcher. He's coming off of an amazing performance, and he's going to be the most popular pitcher, I imagine. So if you want to go play Cleveland, because they're all pretty cheap, or cheap enough, sure. You know what I mean? And actually they're not even that cheap. So right. on a 4-game slate, I think that's totally fine. But make no mistake, you're doing that specifically for leverage and all that. I happen to like Tanner Beebe on the other side. So I definitely like that. So again, same caveat. If you're going to play Pablo Lopez, you got to do something funky elsewhere. But if you do play Cleveland, for example, then you don't have to do anything if it works. But it's there's a reason why Pablo Lopez is so good. You know what I mean? Like it's tough to get these. It's tough to beat those pitchers. It just is. Right. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, both pitchers are going to be popular. I definitely think Lopez makes the most sense as the main guy you use today. I have no issue if you want to argue BB, same thing. If I had to pick a side though, offensively, I definitely would take the Minnesota side, just because I think BB has more volatility in him than Lopez. Lopez is pretty consistent, and I also like the bats a little bit better for Minnesota. The thing that people hate about Minnesota, and it's a legitimate concern, is that they do tend to, we saw Julien get 2 at-bats one or 2 at-bats the other day.
Oh, really?
They pinch hit a lot for those guys, and they do the lefty righty thing all season long. So treating it like it's a playoff game or something. So, but with that said, I do like Minnesota, specifically Buxton, Kirilloff, and Kepler. Julien is supposed to be the most popular, but that would be one I'm cool not playing, just because, like I said, he's probably the most likely guy to see someone else come in for him. But I like the low ownership here, so I'm definitely going to be targeting some bats here. And on a small slate, you could always play a very low-owned Jose Ramirez here, and on the other side for Cleveland. So that would be the guys I look at the most here.
So Miami, St. Louis, you have 2 pitchers that, I mean, in my opinion, can go many different ways. So Lance Lynn, he left, I guess, traded or whatever from the Dodgers or whatever. So he's on St. Louis now. I'm still familiarizing myself with the new guys. Ryan Weathers is still trying to make it work, huh? I mean, pitching 4 innings a game. I mean, it would seem to me that St. Louis would be a good team to put some bats up with. You know what I mean? I'm not really getting to too much of it, but it certainly seems to make some sense. And Lance Lynn against Miami. Listen, this take goes back like years, I guess, but we used to target St. Louis. Righty pitchers against Miami. I don't know if it's still the case, but I don't know where Lance Lynn is in his career. I don't know what he's been up to, but he's just one of a number of pitchers that you can play here. So, I mean, do you have any big lean for either side here?
I think Lynn is fine. I like the pitchers in Minnesota and Cleveland, just better as pitchers. I think Miami's offense is a little bit improved. It's a pretty low run total there for them. I thought that was going to be. I thought they'd both be around 4 today, and I guess 3.7. It's not a huge difference, but yeah, like you've got a tough strikeout. You know, you've got Arias at the top, which always is a tough strikeout matchup. And I think that in this game, though, like everything will be on the St. Louis side, and I just don't mind some of the Miami bats, whether you want to stack them or not against Lynn. I would try to get the lefties. Jazz, I think, is one of the other good spend ups today. Jazz Chisholm. I think Josh Bell at low ownership is kind of interesting. And if on the St. Louis side, I agree with you. That's probably where I like things the most. And unfortunately, I think everything is going to change with their ownership because of the lineup they put out today. I have a feeling they're going to end up really popular because they've got Victor Scott now leading off at 2,600. They've got Ivan Herrera batting cleanup at 2,500. Now you could say, okay, well that means it's not their best lineup that they have out there. Sure, whatever. I still like the idea of getting to St. Louis today, and they would be the team that I would target the heaviest, even with the ownership. I expect theirs to go up a little bit. But Herrera, Scott, Arenado, Gorman, my favorite parts of St. Louis, and I currently have Lance Lynn as a little bit worse than Seth Lugo, which may be a mistake. So it's probably pretty close between those guys, which we'll get into that game in a minute.
Yeah, so keep this in mind. You know, the White Sox-Royals game is 3 hours after everything else.
Yep.
So it does provide you the opportunity to screw around if you were so inclined. That's not to say that you need to overweight that game necessarily for that reason, but I definitely think it's got to be worth something. And I actually, I mean, I think the same logic. You know, I think Lugo obviously probably is going to look like a good point per dollar player, or whatever. But hell, man, I mean, I'll take a shot. You know, I'll play some White Sox. I mean, why not? Problem is, I mean, the guys I want to play. I mean, I know you don't like it when I play the Benintendi. He doesn't really do all that.
I almost won the 150 with him as a one-off the other day, and I felt like I wanted to shoot myself. I don't know why I played him. That's stupid of me.
But you know, the normal guys: Vaughn, Moncada, Robert, Robert, whoever you want. So I think you could do that. And Kansas City side, I mean, I like this too. But Bobby Witt, I think he almost hit for the cycle the other day, and he's a machine. So unfortunately, I hate to do this, right? I hate to recommend everything, but this is where using the Sims and using SaberSim, and if you're not going to use SaberSim, make the same types of inferences when you're hand building, that a simulator might do. Like in other words, okay, so where am I going to get my leverage, or how am I going to get different? I'm not going to play Pablo Lopez and Seth Lugo with, I don't even know who the most popular guys would be. Pirates, maybe? I don't know.
I think Kansas City will be the most popular.
Kansas City, so I'm not going to do that. So what does that mean? Do I have to?
Close.
Yeah. What does that mean? Do I have to play, say, Cleveland? You don't have to, but you could. But again, these are the things that I fight with. Is I tend to in baseball get a little bit too cavalier about it. You know what I mean? I end up sometimes playing like the 2 worst pitchers with the worst stack. just hoping. You don't want to just hope. You want to at least have some projection or some some floor, to
Mhm.
back up what you're doing here. Yeah, I can go play. I could combine Weathers and Soroka, and then Cleveland 5-man, with one-offs from Miami, and just been, yeah, I'm different. Yeah, you're different because you're in 4,000th place. That's possible too. But unfortunately, this is what baseball is. I mean, I could tell you who the best point per dollar plays are, and that's the funny thing is that I can tell you who are good cash game plays, and yet I've never played cash in baseball ever.
Right.
I mean, like if you get, like you said, if you have Victor Scott starting at 2,600, probably a good play.
Yeah.
A catcher, you can even get. I don't know where Herrera is starting, but whatever. You can get even the Shoemaker 2,300. That's probably an okay play. Dominic Fletcher is okay play 2,300. Now they released the lineup. Is this Siani guy at 2,100 for St. Louis playing? That like there are cheapos that you can play, but I don't know if that's what I would want to do.
Yeah. So it's an interesting one because I like Lugo, I guess. The White Sox have been terrible. It's not great hitting conditions. There's wind blowing. It's a little bit crossfield, but mostly it's in from left field. So I would prefer the lefties in this game. However, the problem is that righties are good, and like Bobby Witt has so many ways of getting there. The thing is, if he's going to be most like you're going to have 10 times the ownership on him than you will like Ramirez, maybe you just reconsider your spend up spot, and that's one of the things I'm thinking about doing. Favorite bats here would be Bobby Witt and Garcia, unfortunately, because Melendez would be because he's left-handed and Pascantino, but Garcia and Witt I think are like the guys you would be playing in cash probably. And I don't mind the idea of getting to some White Sox. I didn't get to as many of them in my build. We don't know who's playing yet, but and we might not by the time this locks. But I mean, look, Robert is another Luis Robert is another one I can talk myself into as a spend up to get a little bit different. So that's really what I think it's going to come down to for me is getting a little bit different in some spots. Like I said, I am going to do mini stacking, not so much full stacking today, just because it's a small 4-gamer and I don't really love anything. If I had to pick one stack that I like the best, it would be the Cardinals. And to get a little bit of different, I would go the Twins. Those would be the routes that I would use to try to be a little bit different on this particular slate. And it's funny because you got All-Star DFS saying that baseball cash is probably a nightmare in here. And I want to just address that real quick because I really do think that it's actually not so bad. Like the baseball cash is like you just live with the decisions, and it's actually pretty easy to figure out. The version of each position basically has 3 guys you probably consider for cash plays, depending on how you're building. And I actually don't play cash in baseball, but I did really well when I used to play cash in baseball. I just rather allocate towards tournaments. But yeah, I can see why it seems like it get tough, but early in the season, especially because the starting pitching is so weird early in the year. But we're already getting to the second start, so that's not as much of a relevant thing anymore.
Have you been betting at all or putting bets up in baseball?
Not yet.
Okay.
The daily betting thing. We had I'll get to it at some point. I'm sort of still on the. I don't know. I have that month of trying to feel out the baseball season to feel like what you have some idea of what's really going on, which is that in addition to losing for a while is the reason I'm playing smaller also. So I haven't been doing as many bets. I did make one bet this year and I won it. It was a Dodger bet when they were in Korea. Anyway, but
did you look at the NBA slate at all or no?
We can talk through it if you want to.
I haven't looked at it yet. I mean, we will look at it at first look. So let's do that actually.
Yeah, let's take a quick look at the NBA.
Let's just pull up. I reserved some spots, but I didn't build any lineups or anything like that.
Yeah.
This is the dummy lineup. Leaving 23,300 on the table. Okay. All right. So let's figure this out. So, let's just take a look at who's injured first. So utility. Okay. So Jokic has a Q tag, but it's probable. Embiid has a Q tag, who's participated in shoot around. So the question is with him is how much do we think he's going to play? Maxey participated in shoot arounds. I'm just looking at these. Jamal Murray had been out. He hasn't played yet, so I'm presuming he's still not playing. Ooh, look at this. Kawhi is out. I didn't know that. Butler questionable. He was absent from shooting around, but probable. Just kind of like looking through all this. Josh Hart questionable. First end of the back-to-back. Okay. So what do you think? First of all, I guess, what do you think of Embiid?
I think he'll play a little bit more than he did in the previous game. I don't really know how. I mean, it's weird because there's some Q tags and there's some stuff out there, but until we like there's no real screaming crazy value at the moment.
Okay.
If Murray's out, maybe adds a little bit. I mean, he's been out. I don't know. It's hard to find value to get to Embiid for me or a play like that. Luka, put up 110 fantasy points the last time he played Atlanta. I don't think that we need to. He had, what did he have? 73, 11, and something.
I don't remember.
It was the biggest game of the year.
Here it is. 101.5.
Oh, 101. Oh, okay. I had him on FanDuel then. Yeah. Oh no, I think it was under. Anyway, sorry.
He only played 45 minutes too.
Yeah, they needed every bit of it. They won by 2, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, so it's going to be Clipper focused. I think the ownership on this slate. I think that the things that you're looking to do, there's right now Cam Whitmore is looking like one of the best cheaper value plays. Norman Powell, Russell Westbrook. You've got Trey Lyles back in the mix to show you that we don't have the screaming value yet. And honestly, I'm not sure we're going to today with the nature of these games and most teams sort of needing to play for something. One thing I would consider is DeJounte Murray. If I'm spending up, I think DeJounte Murray at 9,800 feels like a really, really interesting play. Because if Atlanta's going to stay in that game, it's going to be DeJounte for the most part. And he's going to have low ownership. So I like that as a spend up. I like getting at least 2 Clippers, probably 3 on most lineups as of right now. I also really like Jalen Brunson as a spend up. He's going to be popular though. I think you have, as of right now, I would definitely be forcing in one of George or Harden. And I think it would be Harden for me personally, unless I was playing Westbrook, in which case I would play George.
So who's the guy that would get the direct, stuff from Leonard? Who starts instead of him?
I think the projection will say Powell, but it's usually not what they do. Maybe
he rarely starts.
Yeah, every now and then, but I think actually in this spot, because it's been George who's been out more. I think Powell may actually start here, and if he doesn't, it might just be you might get a weird Amir Coffey or something, which already is because there's lack of value, he's an interesting value play. So is Terrence Mann at 3,700, but Mann will start anyway. Coffey might be the other one who they start, and then they bring Westbrook and Powell off the bench. But my guess is they start Powell.
Yeah, neither of those guys score a lot of fantasy points, Mann or Coffey.
No, they don't. But they're 37 and 31, so
yeah,
you could do worse, I think. Super large field, I would say play some Mason Plumlee.
What team?
He's on the Clippers.
Okay.
Zubac can get into foul trouble against Jokic pretty easily. And Plumlee is 3K flat, not to mention it's his former team, and he's played against these guys before. So I could see an uptick for him where he's, currently projected to play 10 minutes.
Right.
I think there's a chance that turns into 20 minutes and maybe 25 fantasy points. That's an interesting get different value play that I would include in my mixes. And then one other guy who I was considering today is De'Aaron Fox, just playing Fox and Brunson. But then I sort of like the idea of playing Murray more than Fox, and Murray's going to actually have less ownership. So I think that's the route I would probably go. This Philly-Miami game should be a good game in real life, but we have Harris, Maxey, and Embiid technically all questionable.
So they're all playing.
Kind of hard to address much of it, but I'll try to put together a couple lineups and put them in the Discord. But as of right now, it's it's not the most fun day of DFS, but we're a week away from the Masters.
No, I was thinking of going live at 6 for the NBA, right?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
I mean, we could do it whether you want to do it at 6 or 6:30 is fine with me.
It's a 7:30. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, let's make it 6:30 then. Whatever.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, the later the better to get the news.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Let's do that. So we'll see you guys at 6:30 and.